Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Ibrahim and I'm from the Brampton Springdale West Imarat. Today I will be doing my Dr. Abdus project related to graphite. This right here I have with me is a block of graphite. And for those of you who do not know what graphite is, we basically use it every single day. The lead in our pencil is actually made of graphite. And you might be wondering, why am I doing a project on such a simple and ordinary block of graphite? That is because this block of graphite contains something so extraordinary that it is at the verge of revolutionizing our whole world. What I'm talking about is graphene. Before I talk about any properties of graphene, let me actually talk about how it was discovered. It was discovered in 2004 by physicist Andrei Geim and Konstantin Novoselov. And the way it was discovered is actually laughably simple. What they did was they took a piece of scotch tape and they put some graphite on the scotch tape, right? And then when they had some graphite on it, they put the tape together and then they took it apart. And they put it together and they took it apart. And they kept repeating the process until they had singular layer of graphite on the tape, which is graphene. Voila, they had discovered graphene. And although the way was very simple, the product graphene was so extraordinary that it sent shockwaves throughout the scientific field. And later on, those two physicists went on to win the Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of graphene. So now you might be wondering, what is so special about graphene? And before I talk about its extraordinary properties, let me talk about its structure a little bit. So this right here is the structure of graphene. And these circles are carbon atoms. And as you can see, the graphene is basically carbon atoms arranged in hexagonal shape. And another special thing about graphene is it's only one atom thing. It's a two-dimensional shape. Right, whereas all the other materials are three-dimensionals, graphene is only two-dimensionals, only one layer thick. It can't have any other layers on top of each other. And that as well also gives it some very unique and extraordinary properties. So now, let's talk about some of the extraordinary properties of graphene. Graphene is 1,000,000 times thinner than a piece of hair. Yet it is 200 times stronger than steel. It is one of the lightest material, yet the strongest material we know so far. Not only that, but it is also the best at conducting electricity. Let's go back to its structure. So in graphene, all of its electrons are delocalized, and that helps it so much for it to conduct electricity. It is the fastest at conducting electricity at room temperature. Not only that, but it is one of the best thermal conductor as well. Now let's talk about some of the extraordinary properties of graphene. Graphene is one of the thinnest material we know, being 1,000,000 times thinner than a human hair. Yet it is 200 times stronger than steel. Not only is it the strongest material we know, it is also one of the best material at conducting electricity at room temperature. Not only that, but it is also one of the best thermal conductor we know so far. And these are only some of the properties which we have found out about graphene. There are countless research being done on this wonder material, and they're constantly finding new and amazing properties of it. For example, an experiment was conducted at the research center at MIT, where the research placed a graphene sheet on top of another graphene sheet with the exact displacement of 1.1 degrees. And that made graphene a superconductor, enabling it to conduct electricity without any resistance or any of the energy being lost in heat. This experiment was conducted near absolute zero, so we cannot use it in real world, but it showed us the infinite possibilities we have with graphene and using it in different ways to have unique and different properties. They also found out that you can combine graphene with other superconductors to raise their temperature which they can conduct electricity at, making us closer than ever to having superconductors at room temperature. One area which has severely held us back is batteries, right? How do we make batteries smaller and have more energy in them? And finding a valid way to produce graphene can completely revolutionize that, as graphene batteries will be 6 times as energy dense than an average lithium battery, making it possible for making batteries smaller yet have more energy. A group of researchers has created a lithium-infused graphene battery which is 6 times as energy dense than normal lithium batteries, as well as charges things 10 times faster. One of the leading sectors for graphene application and production is healthcare. Researchers at Chalmers University have shown how attaching graphene to medical implants can eliminate the use of antibiotics, as graphene is small enough to kill all bacteria which come intact with it, yet is not big enough to harm any of our human cells. With countless other applications of graphene which I just don't have time to mention right now, it really does feel like we are at a cusp of a graphene era. And to think that that all came from just this tiny block of graphite. This really just goes to show that we can find something extraordinary in something ordinary. You just have to look a little closer.